First item on the agenda, we're gonna look at, the minutes from March 22nd. Which, one thing I know,
I have the wrong date up here, I'll change that.
so,
Other than that, if you want to approve it.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
okay. A motion to approve the minutes as presented with one correction of the date at the top. Okay. County auditor.
Okay, first thing I have is payroll claims. March 18th payroll claims in the amount of $333,585.93. 333,585.93.
Okay,
I'll make a motion.
It's not typical.
Yeah, I made a motion.
Did you second?
okay. Motion carries to approve payroll claims of $333,585.93.
Okay. Next thing that I have is the Allied weekly claims. And that is in the amount of $142,037.12. 142,037.12. 65,688 is pharmacy, the rest is medical. And I assume it's continuation of some larger claims that were coming in even from last year, so. I think it's already signed, but that's just for you guys to look at.
It's always nice to see the adjustments on there.
I'll make a motion for all of districts.
Yeah. You make a motion already?
Yes.
Second.
Okay, motion carries to approve the medical as presented.
Thank you, and I have, last thing I have on here is accounts payable, paid March 30th, when they'll be paid. And the accounts payable total, is $997,985.64. And I believe those were all sent to you. I know, one of the, big things on it is, the insurances, and that's well over 400,000 just for the insurances. And I'm thinking that, thinking Highway had something pretty good size in
We
there.
paid for our new loader.
Yeah, so those two things right there kind of, we got a little bigger than normal.
Is Rick, oh, did he step out again?
Oh.
Because we had a question on Don Myers Plumbing and Heating. You know,
Let me see it. I did see that come through. I'm trying to think what it was. I'm not sure where Rick went. Bree went up to redo the minutes that the county auditor messed up. And as soon as she comes down, she might remember exactly what that claim was for. One of those two will remember it.
all right.
I just can't remember off the top of my head what exactly that was for.
Let me go to this one real quick. Jail had a Motorola Solutions of 24,106.
Software maintenance.
That's our
Software maintenance, okay, all right. All right. Had you talked to Rick about that, Don Myers?
Yeah, we were all curious about it.
Okay. I wonder,
I don't know where he went.
let me give him a buzz real quick.
He was right back there.
coming in right now, she might know.
Yeah, Bree might remember.
We got two vehicles too, Stan.
Oh, for the
We
Dodge?
paid for two,
Yeah, that was
share $68,000.
Bree, they're gonna put you on the spot. Put your chief deputy title to work. They got a question, go around so you can see the one he's talking about there on Don Myers. Here are the minutes that are corrected.
Oh, okay.
Rick was in here when he stepped out, so we couldn't ask him. I couldn't remember what that was for some years.
I think it's 2 different invoices.
I think it's different. I think it's not just one charge. I think it's several invoices. But
You want me to call him or you want me to
just what you can find out.
We got product.
She can pull it right up and.
We still got more
Still
than.
got- Still do.
Did he find it?
We go ahead and approve it, Stan, and then get clarification when Rick comes in
She's looking it up.
for the building thing.
Is
Here you go.
the circuit core replacement of
Coil.
That coil,
was 8,409, and then there's 3 different things for the complex.
Fix the shut off, some other repair, replace the flush valve. So it's
that
like 4
coil
different
was
things.
about $6,000, I believe, wasn't it, something like that?
The what?
The
The
coil?
coil was 8,409,
That was it, okay, well, that's the bulk of it.
and that came out of Cume Cap.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Second,
Okay, motion carries.
Whoever has to sign it. So you can look at it beforehand.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ray. Did we get a motion then on that? On the
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Motion carried to approve the claims as presented.
And that is all that I had. The other thing is going to come up under Mark, because it has to do with some kind of the health insurance stuff.
Oh,
But he'll bring that up later.
all right. Okay, very good. Thanks, Tony. Acting county engineer.
Thank you.
And highway superintendent.
Oh, good morning.
Morning.
Last week, I had given you guys some info on, from the engineering side about some bridge projects. And every 4 years, we have the bridge inspections done. I'll just hit it real quick again. And they,
That's your music, like
Oh,
when
that
baseball
was-
players
okay.
come out.
Sorry.
That's yours. I choose a better one though, if I were you. Choose a different one.
You can go ahead. I'm just
Okay.
shutting my ringer off.
Steve's intro music would be better for you.
so they give us a report, when they're done, and they give us a list of, the top priorities. And so the 5 I have listed are the top priorities that need done, and I just listed them in order by their number. So those 5 major projects or something, we're gonna need engineering for. So what I would like to do is get permission to start the engineering, as soon as I can, knowing that, engineering can take up to a year. So have the projects ready to go for 23 or 24. I mean, they wouldn't have to go all at once, but at least we get the engineering part done, they're ready to go. Then also that way, possibly we would apply for community crossings again, because those have to be shovel ready when you apply for that. So that would kind of be a jump on that also, if we could apply for, 1 or 2 of them possibly. And in saying that also, if you were to give all of them to like one firm, it's gonna take them a lot longer to get those done. To where if we would spread them out, they all would start working on them and they could all be done sooner than later. So, and if you have any questions, I've got some notes on them, but this was the recommendations from our last bridge inspection.
Brad, can I also get a copy of that so I can?
Yeah.
Put the top on
Yep.
it later.
Is that the same as what you handed out last week?
Yeah, I wanted to hand this out last week, so that way you guys maybe had a chance to look at it before, because there's quite a bit to talk about today. But yeah, that's what I handed out last week.
Okay. So once again, you're you're recommending bidding out each of these to
Well,
get it from the,
Starting the engineering for each of them.
starting the engineering
Yeah.
for each of them?
Yeah,
Okay.
and then whenever the engineering would be done, then at that point, we could come up with, we're able to do this one, and then we could bid them out as a project.
How are you gonna decide on the engineering as far as who does that?
The ones I have listed, they all do a very good job on all of them. And it was actually, they all could handle every one of them. So it was just, kind of choose one and put them with that bridge, that project.
Okay. All right. Very good. Do you need action on that?
Well, your permission to start the engineering on them. I don't know if it needs to be just a motion probably.
Should I get
Okay.
proposals from the engineering firms to do that?
Prices from each one on the job to do, yeah, I can.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's do that.
And then also in there, I also did write that, once we get that, we can negotiate that kind of thing.
Okay, we did have a motion to proceed with going ahead to get engineering done on that, so. Did you want to include that in your motion as far as bidding those out, or how do you want to?
I'll be honest with you,
Yeah, you oughta
typically
get-
bid the engineering out, do you?
We'll just get quotes. You don't have to have
Alright.
not sealed bids, just get
Yeah.
quotes from the engineering firms to
Okay,
provide.
so we know what we're looking at.
Right, yeah.
Okay. Okay,
So we're good on that one?
I think so, unless you got anything else there, yeah.
No, not on that. The next item that I had put on there, I kind of explained last week, the bridges we're responsible for getting rebuilt up, logs and other stuff gets in there. And we have two of them that are every fall, and the one that's been every fall and every spring. So when we hire somebody to clear that out, they stack it there along the river, and we are getting large piles there. And so we did our investigating into maybe someplace to haul them in the south landfill. They don't want anything put in there on them caps. Even though it's been decommissioned, you can't put anything on them. And a lot of the rest of that ground, almost all of it's flipped. So in researching it, there would be, if we could buy an acre of ground at both of the two bridges we have the most trouble with, we could stack there indefinitely. And as far as like trucking them anywhere, it's really hard to get rid of that stuff.
Right.
Just to take it somewhere and dump it is,
So would we just let it decompose,
Yes.
or would we?
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, stack them up in piles and it's gonna decompose.
Would
You
it
know-
wash back down in?
And that's what I was gonna say, no, we'll make sure they're stacked out of the way of the current. Cause we don't want it back in there. And I looked it up, I looked up-
Landowner sell you an acre off each?
that's what I wanted to get your guys' permission. I haven't even talked to them. I know what landowners they are, and, if I can go approach them and see if they'd be willing to do something like that. I haven't even done that yet. I want to get your permission to start looking into it.
Yeah, you can look at it and then they have to get it appraised.
Yeah, we'd have to follow all the steps, but just
Yeah.
initially, I'd like your permission to be able to do that.
I wouldn't know why not, would you?
Probably should, if you think that's the best solution.
I don't know where, because I don't know where we're gonna haul to. I really don't. 'Cause I don't think anybody's gonna want us to haul truckloads of logs and limbs and debris on their property, so.
Unless you take it out to the
Like,
old
at least do the
landfill site.
legwork for
They're very particular about what goes out there.
Mhm.
now that
Yeah,
was.
we went and talked to Jeff McIntosh at Solid Waste about it. He said, yeah.
So even the north landfill, is that got quite a bit of land in the floodplain too, I wonder?
Well, there's a lot more, you remember years ago that got built up a lot more, and there's a lot more places where there are caps. There's not a lot of bare ground there, and,
Right.
yeah, he's not real keen on putting anything in those two spots.
Okay.
Because I and will keep an eye on that for who knows how long.
Didn't they have a big chipper out at the transfer station? Of course, that probably wouldn't handle any of the things that we,
They do it at the compost sites for the cities and that, but I don't know if they ever did they out the transfer
'cause I
station
thought there was
also?
one where they grind up pallets and
Yeah,
everything.
they'll grind up about anything, but, yeah.
I don't know if that would be any advantage for us or not. I mean, like say if they would grind up
Do they
anything 8
yeah.
inches or less maybe or something, or.
Yeah. I mean, if that would come in and that would be a timing thing, yeah, we could haul it to there. But
Yeah,
a lot of the stuff that comes in is full-size trees and so
Right.
it'd still have to be cut up before we could even haul it.
right. Okay. Well, I'll see what you come up with on that
Okay,
land.
yeah, and I'll start making it, approaching people and finding out.
We'll explore
Yeah.
that, so.
All right, and the final thing on the list for engineering. So it's been a year or two ago. So when they do their bridge inspections, they also check for bridge scour, which is around the piers that are actually in the water. And Tim had actually started this, a while ago, getting plans drawn up to get the large riprap rocks placed around these piers to keep them from washing. And, this is something that is required. So there was 3 projects, and the plans should be done in May. But I just wanted to, come to you guys, give you a heads up that there are 3 bridges that it needs to be done to, and they go in and they'll build like cofferdams around them. Then they get in there and work, and they will place all the wrap, and then they'll also go up the banks and replace riprap where it needs done and just shape it all up as part of the project. So there'll be 3 of them that'll need done. And I just want to come to you guys now, and, the plans are going to be done by the end of May, hopefully, if you get permission to, once the plans are done, to get them ready to bid. And there again, honestly, this late in the year, I don't know if anybody would be available to do it before the end of the year, because everybody's busy already. Well, it might be next spring or summer before we get done, because obviously the water's got to be down, and there's a fish migration that you can't be in the river during that time, so there's a time frame on it also.
Hopefully that doesn't make more of a snag for the brush, especially coming under Jackson Street.
Well, it's down at the bottom where the pier is actually set on the bottom, so it's
Right.
all underwater. Yeah, this is underwater scour,
Okay,
yeah.
all right. What do you need on that then?
Basically, I'd like your okay that when the plans are done, that we could get it ready and send it out to bid.
Okay,
Make a motion. Zach, go ahead and
All
start
right.
the process.
motion carries.
Okay, thank you. All right, I believe the last thing I have on the engineering side, the trail project, the 2 bridges down south, from 850 south to the river, those projects are done. Paperwork's been done. And the last thing I have is a paper that needs signed. It's a report of contract, final inspection, and the recommendation for acceptance. So it's 3 projects, because one was the actual trail from 850 to the first bridge, then you had each bridge was a separate project. So basically, it's done, everything's taken care of, this is the final paperwork that needs signed, that yes, everything is done, and then we'll get this back to NDOT, and this can be closed out.
Okay, and you've looked at the trail, you've looked at the
Yes,
bridges.
last fall, the engineer, or the gentleman that was overseeing it was down there, and NDOT was down there at one point in time, and we walked, we checked everything, and everything is looking good.
Should that be checked since it went through the first winter?
I believe he has been out there and looked at it, because like the grass, make sure the grass was doing all right and everything, it looks good. I mean, everything, it looks good.
Okay. We need a motion on that, or just go ahead?
Well, it needs signed, so I would assume you might want a motion to sign it.
Authorized signature on that.
All right. So good, that's nice.
That'll be nice. Hey, this is a
Yeah.
project I came into, it's been going on for years.
Yeah,
This is it. We're that close and it's done.
very good. All right.
We already passed it.
I'm not paying attention very well. Quick question, Mark.
Yep.
It says you gotta have at least two. They all three signed it, it shouldn't matter, right?
These two, should say that. Oh.
I didn't know if it matters if all three of them sign it or not.
Just have all three signed, have Stan sign right here, then have all three sign right there. We'll just put right here. You also make a copy of that, and leave it on the desk too. I don't know if I kept that.
That's fine. Let me copy.
You brought up or not.
Okay, so while we're doing that, I can start on the highway side of things. They are finishing the stone roads again this week. The weather's been kind of hit and miss with the rain. They're out finishing stoning the roads. Since we did the oil bids, we now have a price on dust control. It is $2.26 a foot this year. And we will start accepting applications April 4th through May 14th for dust control.
Did you say
May
226?
13th. It's $2.26 a foot.
Okay.
You signed the top one. Yeah, they can come in the office and fill out an application for it. And 692, what number? Oh, yeah, 692-6222. And then he said sign the first line also, yes. So
What was that last year?
it was $1.79 last year.
Yeah.
Did you say it starts May 13th?
Ends May 13th. That'll be the final day for applications or papers for us to go out and do it, yeah.
Okay.
Hey Brad, how long is that trail down there south? How many miles roughly? 3 or 4?
Oh, as an overall, from 850 to 9, it's a little over a mile.
Oh, that's all. Okay.
Yeah.
Where is that trail?
The one we just finished there, where the two new bridges are on 27.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's that project there.
Oh,
And then, like I said, those annual reports I handed out to you, we'll wait and go over them next week because there were some pages missing, but I got them to you now. And the last thing I have on the highway side is permit. I only have one permit this week.
All right.
That's unusual.
That is unusual, yes it is. So this is for I&M and on County Road 350 west between 27 and 1175 north. They're just gonna replace a pole. There's a pole already there, they're just gonna replace it.
Right by the school.
I looked on the map, it's actually going into somebody's house.
Oh,
There's like 3 poles and they're gonna replace the one.
all right. So it looks good. They're not moving it.
Yeah, they're just replacing a pole, so they'll go back in the same spot basically. And
Okay.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All right, motion carries.
And I believe that's actually it.
Not sounding like a broken record, but these guys are just hounding me about those night lights. Did you find out anything about that?
I left a message with one guy from I&M and he never called me back, so I'll leave him another message. I said just to give me a contact at least, so I can maybe give it to you or whoever and they can call him.
Okay.
But, and I reaffirmed too, or confirmed that no, we've never done anything with night lights, so that's gonna be on.
Were there any changes made on that at all? Or just, you handed this out?
It was just missing some pages,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
and it was the disbursement section of it.
Mark, there's nothing new on 800, is
Thank you.
And I believe that's it.
there? All right.
Thanks, Brad.
You guys are welcome. Thank you, guys.
Boy, no snow to push, no lawn to mow yet.
Hey, it's cold enough to snow, that's for sure.
All right.
It'll melt tomorrow.
Yeah, this is the one that we.
All right, Rick? How you doing? Good.
Really, I just wanna try to seek approval for Judd Myers to be able to start in our power room to tear the duck out on the precinct.
Okay.
Present that to you. And this would be just Don Myers.
So we have a document I need you to have printed. Yeah, put it upstairs.
Hope I cut myself.
All right, so this is all in preparation for remodeling that
Power room.
room for the power,
Yeah.
new power supply, or for moving the power supply and
Yep.
so.
And we got that figured out on what line items we're gonna take
Okay.
that out of.
That would be paid, I would want to pay that out of Fund 1138, line item 34006.
Did you get all those funds switched around then?
Yes.
Got everything taken care of?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm not ready to present the other portion that I was going to present as far as the materials.
Oh, okay,
I'd like to maybe have some time after the meeting to talk to you.
sure. Yeah, because Bree talked to us a little bit too, and so, yeah, we'll see what we need to do there,
Okay.
so,
Um,
okay. All right. We want a motion on,
Stan, can you, I think I gave them all to you, can you, how much that is there? How much is that?
6730
Thank you.
and 0 cents.
So I'd like to pay it out of Fund 1138, line item 34006.
Yeah,
I'll make that motion.
Second.
okay, motion carries. Yep, that way we can go ahead and get him started down here. Yes,
6,730, right?
correct.
Okay,
That's
Yeah.
good.
who's gonna do that work? So someone.
Don Myers. Another friendly reminder, next week is heavy trash pickup. So throughout the 3 buildings, if there's anybody that has anything, they need to get it out on that trash day. Or I'll help if I can. Other than that,
Okay.
gentlemen, I mean, I had other things here, but that's about all I got
Okay. Well, good. Hopefully the department heads can kind of take a look through their department and see if there's anything that,
For instance, the trash gets picked up here on Tuesday mornings. You get it out Monday afternoon, to be quite honest with you, a lot of that stuff's gone by that night or Tuesday morning.
yeah,
So whatever that stuff may be.
yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, that'll be nice. Hopefully people will contact you if they need a little hand. But ahead of time a little bit, so you don't get,
I think myself and Yolanda and Phil, we're going to take, after lunch on Monday, we know of some stuff that need to go out.
okay,
So we're gonna take that time and do that on Monday.
okay. And then you said the courts were on a different day as far as their,
I believe they're Wednesday.
okay,
They're the very next day, Wednesday. So that would be out on Tuesday afternoon. They should be able to get it picked up.
right, okay. All right,
And then, like I said, maybe before you guys leave today, we can talk about this other issue that I have.
yeah, yep. All right. Okay, any questions for Mark or Rick?
No.
All right. Okay,
I did get that quote, Steve, for that sort of.
Talk about that. At least he got back with you.
Pretty thorough quote.
all right, thank you, Rick. Okay, Jim, would you like to come on up?
May 3rd. Got a primary election going on this year,
Yes, we do.
and we've got 5 polling locations we need your approval on,
Okay.
same ones we've used in the past. They're all ADA compliant.
I'm familiar with those.
And need your approval about using these facilities this year.
Had we used the nursing homes in the past?
Yes,
Okay,
we contacted Swiss Village in February. That's one of our vote centers, and they said we still can't come.
okay,
You know, they don't have public in the building yet,
okay,
so we'll see what happens in the fall. You know, if they'll let us in
Yeah.
November. But, well, we did contact them and they said we can't use them yet.
Motion's made, I second it.
Second.
okay, very good.
All right, very good, thank you.
Yep. All right, Mark, I know I saw him somewhere. Oh, there, duh. You're blending in with the crowd here.
Yeah, trying to low profile it.
We need you to get you an Hunter orange hat.
Right. Good morning. Thank you for your time this morning. From Golden Meadows, we have a couple prospective residents that we have interviewed over the past couple weeks, and their names are noted there on the paper that I passed you, Stan.
Okay.
Both individuals do meet the admission criteria and are both financially sound.
Okay.
So we shouldn't have any issues with funding. If we would need to, anything extra, we could always apply for Arch for anything to make up any difference, but I feel pretty confident both of these are well situated to fit right in with us out there. So, and just so you're aware, we did have one resident passed away about 10 days ago.
Okay,
So we lost one, and then it was a female. And then we also transferred another female to another facility that could facilitate her medical needs a little bit better. But other than that, everything's going good. With bringing these two in, that will maintain our census level at 25. So,
okay. So capacity wise, we're good shape. and-
good shape, we can still hold up to 31. We have a couple more that are out there we've been talking to, but no applications yet. So,
Okay.
But this will bring us right back to where we were, so.
Make a motion to go ahead and approve the admission for these 2 residents then.
Second.
Okay,
Thank you.
motion carried, yes.
Appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Otherwise, things are under control for the
Yes.
time being?
Yes, we're starting to get people, schedules out today, and Wilshire Ice Cream stand opens back up. The residents always like going there, so that'll be one of our visits coming up in April. But yeah, we're also looking at going to a ball game this summer, taking them to a ball game, so at Fort Wayne, so they'll like that as well, so.
What is your vehicle situation right now? In good shape?
Yeah, we're good. The last vehicle that we received was that Hyundai, the one that we had an accident before I took over, and it seems to be doing well for us now. We still have the bigger van. I think it's a 12-passenger. So if needed, we can always take 2 vehicles. We usually get about a 60% attendance rate for folks that want to go out on trips. So
Okay,
between the two vehicles, we're doing fine. So
good,
employment has kind of stabilized a little bit for us. We haven't had much turnover lately, just so you're aware of that.
Good.
We seem to be in a pretty good place right now. Let's hope that continues. Marcia's doing a great job as the nurse manager, and everything seems to be rolling pretty smooth. So.
good. Did you end up getting that well inspected?
Well, I know Josh has been working on that. He's made a couple phone calls, and we're working on a couple estimates for you. Probably the next couple months, we'll have something put together for you on that. But we are kind of moving forward with at least getting some quotes for some additional work out there, which I've mentioned before.
Okay.
So, yeah, we'll be in touch with that.
Very good.
Okay,
Thank
sounds
you.
good.
Mark, here's a
Thank
copy
you.
of that.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thanks.
All right, Shannon, did you have anything for us today?
Yes, I have a couple of things. Easy stuff. The first one is that we did have an employee in the dispatch department at the sheriff's department resign. I went ahead and posted the job on Indeed just so we didn't have too much lag time in between that person leaving because it was effective immediately. We didn't want to incur too many overtime costs out there, so it was important we get that replaced, but we haven't decided on a candidate yet. So this is me officially asking for permission to hire someone to replace that dispatcher.
So you must have got responses back pretty quick then on that.
Yes, I did. I think I've got 6 or 7 applications online
And
already.
we have 2 part-time people also.
That are
could be
interested.
Wow.
Right now, that's what.
Yeah, we didn't
Well,
want
it's
to.
good and bad, because if we hire them, then we need part-time people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of always the hope of, put your part-time work in and hopefully you get a full-time
Just
spot.
officially make a motion, yeah.
Okay, motion carries. Thanks for getting on that right away.
Yeah, absolutely. Dan made a good point. We didn't want to incur too many overtime costs with having the remaining dispatchers, so it's important we got that billed.
Yeah,
The other thing is I just needed to get the retiree insurance cost approved for 2022. We're maintaining the 2021 cost just like we did with the normal insurance. And it's $776.80 per month, and that's for the employee-only coverage. So I just need you guys to officially approve that for me, even though I'm 3 months late.
Make a motion.
Second.
okay, belated motion.
Yeah.
Or no, motion for a vote.
My last chance. So that's all I have. Good to go.
All right. Do we have anybody taking advantage of that right now?
I don't have anybody right now, but I did have an employee ask me about it, which is what brought this up. I didn't really
Okay.
know, so I had to do some of my own research. So,
All right.
okay, thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Mark, did you have anything for us today?
Yep, a few things. We received the grant of easement from Indiana Michigan Power Company for the farm access off of US Highway 33. And we had that surveyed, so we have that. Now they've signed it and they're recording that, and we, commissioners in exchange agreed to grant them an easement. It's actually the same size, 0.016 acres. In the old, what was their old easement that was abandoned and then purchased by the landowner that the county bought the farm from. And then they have some poles that they need to set out there. I don't know if you've drove by, but they've got poles sitting out there. So it's just an exchange of easements. We need a motion to grant this reciprocal easement to I&M in exchange for the easement they just gave to us.
So move it. Did you do it? Second then.
Okay. Motion and seconded. To use that easement, will we have to do any maintenance at all as far as any culvert or stone or anything like that? Or
We could put some stone in.
is that something that we'd work with Brad on if we need to do that or? Okay.
I know we've been using that same access for years. It's just, now it's legal.
But it's primarily farm access anyway.
It's just farm access.
Right.
And the reason is that that's a limited access there, so it's really difficult to get any additional curb cuts off of the highway. And so we're using actually I&M's curb cut to come in, and then we're just taking a right-hand turn and then going to our property, the county's property.
Okay. Well, good, I'm glad that worked out. So,
That was with I&M.
Yep, Indiana, Michigan Power. Just need a motion to sign this easement agreement then.
we had a motion already?
I think we did.
Yep, that's right. Okay, motion carries.
All right, so I'll have you sign this. Just need to sign. You can just sign right there and I'll fill that in.
All right.
Hey, Mark, what's that road number it's on? Where is that?
It's Highway 33.
Oh, 3.
And then also,
I see that.
so right up there.
What does the county use that for? What is it, just to? what's it
It's
used
just for access to get to the farm ground that the county owns off of Highway 33. No, it's not Golden Meadows, it's the jail farm.
Off of
Off
US
of Highway 33. All right, and then we also have renewal for stop-loss coverage for our health benefit plan. And that's, so the coverage has already been bound. We just need to sign the coverage application document here. And we have a $55,000 specific deductible. That is per employee, and that's with Gerber Life Insurance Company, and that's for 2022. And we just need to have this signed and on file. Allied Benefit Systems, as you know, is the third-party administrator. Ohio Health Partners also is the group that we get, they kind of act as a procurement group for stop-loss coverage. We've talked about this before, but they've got about 40,000 covered lives, and so we actually partner with them to get our stop-loss coverage because it's a lot cheaper to go through them when we're putting together 40,000 lives as opposed to trying to get stop-loss coverage just as our own small group. That partnership has saved the county tens of thousands of dollars. And so, and that's through, that's something that we are able to get through our relationship with Plan Management Services and Elaine Shafley. That's also something that the School Employees Benefit Trust does. So I don't know if some of you are familiar with that or not, but they cover, that's a self-funded benefit plan that covers 12 school corporations, including South Adams, Adams Central, North Adams, Whately County, Blackford, Jay, trying to think.
And those systems are partly who we're in collaboration with.
Yes.
Okay.
So it saves quite a bit of money. I just need a motion and to have chairman sign the Gerber stop loss coverage document.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded.
Yep. So just need you to sign right there and then I'll fill the rest of it out.
Is that called Gerber, you said, Mark? What's it called?
Gerber Life Insurance Company.
Like the-
This is with our agreement through Ohio Health Partners.
Okay.
Right there.
This is the only copy we got.
That's part of the reason the county has a very substantial health, self-funded health
Yeah, make a copy of it.
health fund balance right now. All right, so let's see, what else do I have?
Well, and I think since we have hired her, I think Elaine Shapley has been a pretty good advantage to our
Yeah,
healthcare coverage.
prior to that, relationship, Adams County was on the verge of needing to get into county general, and you didn't have hardly any money at all in your health fund balance. It was pretty precarious. But that's been several years ago now, but it's been built up since then and it's doing pretty good.
Good.
I think that's all I have.
Do you wanna discuss that setback stuff?
About what?
Setback stuff you're gonna bring back this week, are you not ready for that?
Oh, yeah, we have to, yeah, we can talk about that.
It's up to you, it's neither here. Isn't it, you're ready for it?
Yeah. Yeah, last week we talked about the certification from the Plan Commission. If you recall, the Board of Commissioners recommended to the Plan Commission that the setback for confined feeding operations from a school be changed from 3,000 feet to 800 feet, which is what it had been previously. And the Plan Commission held a hearing on that, and they rejected that, but then they recommended, they basically said 1,320 feet, which was something they could probably go along with, which is a setback from a residential home. And so it's up to the commissioners. You can either reject that and set it at 800, in which case then we would have to sign an amendment, or we'd have to sign a resolution to that effect, or if you choose to amend your recommendation to 1,320 feet, you can do that, and then you would sign a resolution and you'd send it back to the Plan Commission, and then it would be up to them to decide if they approve it or reject it. If they approve it, then it would come back and it would be final. If they reject it, it could come back, and then the process could start over. You could set it at 1,320, or you could reject that and propose something else.
So their current proposal is coming back to us as,
Well, they rejected the 800. I don't
Okay,
think they said, I think they rejected the 800, and I haven't seen the actual certification in writing from them. Do you have that, Tony?
I don't.
Because I think,
Building and
I
planning.
thought that they filed that last week.
Building and planning has the plan commission stuff regarding the setback that they had discussed, and what they recommend, 800 feet? Or no?
I think they rejected the 800, and I think they
Maybe
discussed
know about it if they have it.
that they would approve
If they do,
13.
you just email it or bring it down or something.
I'm basing that upon an
Thanks for
email that
getting
I
your steps
received.
in.
You know, I would go on.
okay, so the current,
Right.
the current ordinance stands at 3,000 foot from a confined feeding operation to
For
a school.
Correct.
The state's minimum setback is 1,000 feet. What we initially had recommended was 800 feet, and they rejected that.
That's correct.
And so with other setbacks from confined feeding operation to a residence is 1,320 square feet. And I think that setback has been consistent with commercial as well as other commercial as far as solar, wind, and other confined feeding operations. So I guess I'm open for discussion. We can either, if you'd like to make a statement, otherwise I think we have some people here that would like to speak to that, so whatever.
Let them go ahead and speak.
Okay. If we've got somebody that would like to speak to that, if we can set a microphone out there, we'll have our sound man take care of that.
Is there sound man?
One of your roadies.
One of our roadies, yeah. So typically at this point, he gets his guitar out and accompanies.
You could do that.
But if you'd like to come up and just kind of say your name and address the motion, or address, not the motion, address the issue.
I think, yeah. Can I sit?
Yeah.
Move it down? Does that broadcast to here or just record?
have to
It
state their
it
name.
goes on to the recording and then, the recordings are published,
Okay.
so.
And I'm recording too. Okay, thank you for having me and allowing us to do this as citizens. We know about this issue is about, I think basically an Amish school that wants Adams County to change the setback laws having to do with intensive livestock operations so they can build a school. And I sent you guys all an email on this, and I hope that you read it, but I have to go over that so we can get it out here to the public. This current issue is a perfect example of the need for variances and not to change the law. The current rules and law are made to protect all of us. There's a reason it's 3,000 feet. Sometimes it protects the private citizen by keeping a large animal operation from moving into the neighborhood, thereby protecting property values and keeping things like odors or mess or whatever you want to do from where people live. It protects churches and schools and the public too. Sometimes it protects the farm or the business by giving them a buffer zone away from complaints and local residents. And there's odor complaints and things like that if there would be an intensive pig or hog or beef operation. And it keeps stuff off the roads near private homes and more. It works both ways. I think that right now it's a very good law. I understand this group who wants the school to be allowed closer than the current law has also threatened a lawsuit. I say, so what? Bring it on. All laws are here to work for all of us, not just a select one-time thing. A vocally active group like this who wants you to change a very good workable current law. We cannot have laws be changed for each and every group that comes along. To me, that's very absurd. This is where the Adams County Zoning Board has to decide to issue a variance or not. And I believe that this was already turned down once by the Adams County Zoning Board. I don't know if you guys can confirm that or not. But I was led to believe that they've already been before the board, were turned down. And the reason they were turned down is because we have a law that says 3,000 feet. And that 3,000 feet, they may think that this is okay, but 3,000 feet is there because if we have a smelly operation down the way and they're going to build another Amish school that doesn't have air conditioning and the windows are open, they have to smell that all day? What kind of protection is that for those children? I don't think it's any. So
I'm not aware if that has, do you know, has that been presented and turned down?
Not that I'm aware of, but,
I think it was over a year ago.
well, the setback for confined feeding operations from a school, I think was 800 feet originally, back before the Adams County Planning Commission updated the zoning ordinance 2 years ago. That change occurred 2 years ago. And there were a lot of changes in there, and this was one of them. So it went from 800 to 3,000.
Right, so,
Okay, but when you pass an ordinance regulating the use of property, you have to have some rational basis upon which to protect public health, welfare, or safety.
Then why
You
did
can't
they-
just- You can't just arbitrarily do that.
nobody did. If they went through
I
the
don't think they-
processes, if they went through the processes and changed it to 3,000 feet, there had to be a darn good reason to do
Not
that.
necessarily.
Well, but it's
Not
law, but
necessarily.
it's law now.
That's okay, but the commissioners can propose a change in the law.
I'm not saying that they can't.
They can.
I'm here to argue the other side.
Okay, and I understand that.
Okay.
But still, when you restrict property use, you have to have some rational basis upon that restriction.
But this
And
law, did this argument come up before? How does it go from 800
I
feet
think
to
it was
3,000 feet?
overlooked. I think it got
Well,
put in.
but right now, we're dealing with the fact that exists
But
right
the
now, Mark.
commissioners have the right at any point in time to
Nobody's
review
arguing
their
that.
statute to determine whether or not that the regulations have some rational basis.
Right, and I have a different point of opinion.
and you're
okay?
presenting that.
And I understand that.
Right.
I know that they have that, and I'm here to
Explain
present the other
to me,
side.
though, the difference between
I don't have to
a
explain
resident-
to you anything.
Well-
I'm explaining to them.
Okay, but residents, what's the setback for a residential home?
What, the minimum is
1,320 feet.
1,320 feet, right?
Okay.
But from schools and other things like that, which is what this is 3,000 feet. And there's a reason for it. And by the way,
What's the reason?
there is to keep odors and smells and truck traffic and all kinds of stuff away from those type of things. Those kind of things have a place, and they have a place away from
I think it makes
private
total sense,
residences
Charlie.
and things like
I think it makes
that.
total sense, Charlie, in terms of a large school system. I would agree with you. Adams Central, North Adams, South Adams, that makes sense.
But that's your opinion. The law says school, period. Doesn't matter if the school has 5 students or 1,300 students, it doesn't matter.
It appears to me that we're talking about an Amish school. You're right. You're exactly right. That's exactly what we're talking about.
That's right, and they're used to the smells and all that, but still, that's not the issue. The issue is what I'm gonna get to later on here.
Okay.
The issue is that if we make a law change for one thing, that's not what the law is for. The law is for the betterment and the good of all people. And you make a variance or an allowance or a special exception for the one thing. If they go around, and I have an example here in my letter, and I think that hopefully you guys all read that, but there are allowances for that, and we call them a variance. Changing the law, and that would mean that other operations, we just went through this indicator where the company wanted to come here and put in a livestock, or what do you call that, well, people call it a slaughterhouse, but it's an animal processing plant. And they want to put that in and change those rules there. Well, those rules are put there to protect the public and the property values and the well-being and the morals and the whole thing of what we're doing. And it's supposed to fit a comprehensive plan. Our comprehensive plan is supposed to be the master plan for all of us here. And when we change rules like this, that means that we go from 3,000 feet down to 1,320, or we go to 800 feet, that any type of, be it a livestock operation or a noisy industry, can now go within a closer to homes, which is going to bring more complaints and more furor to the people. So I understand all that, Mark, but right now the rule is 3,000 feet.
I guess the one thing I would ask, and I know you've recently gone through a
Yes.
similar issue with the city, and I don't want to confuse issues because
Right.
this is specifically on intensive livestock operations and the setbacks from schools. This has nothing to do with animal harvesting or anything.
I know, but I'm just making that as an example.
Right.
I understand, but
I just don't want to confuse the issue.
No, but my concern is that if we go to 800 feet, which I'm glad that they're against that. 1,320 is much better than 800 square feet. 1,320 is a quarter of a mile. You get out in the country and it's like, okay, it's way down there, whatever. 3,000 feet, 6/10 of a mile, and on and on and on. So, but there are still things that, to protect the public, all of a sudden, if somebody has a setback right now of 2,500 feet, and they believe as a citizen that they are protected from this type of operation, be it livestock, a noisy industry, somebody with a big 50-ton press that's going to shake the earth, or whatever that may be, they now have a buffer zone that they don't have to put up with that. If we allow anything closer than what it is now, that changes the rules for basically, it can't be stopped once that rule is changed. So that's why I'm an advocate for leaving the law the way that it is and making them come and ask for a variance. And that's what these laws are for. So, okay, if I could continue then. I would like for you to stand by the current rules, let the zoning board hear their case again, make the applicant contact all of the neighbors within 3,000 feet of the proposed building, and then stand by the decision that the zoning board makes as a county. If all this is done by the book or the law, a frivolous lawsuit will be thrown out by any judge. So if there's a threat for to be sued because they didn't get their way, well, by the way, there is a planning guide from Indiana Citizens Planning Guide, and this is part 2, Board of Zoning Appeals Basics. There's another one out there on the website. This is what the standards are supposed to be for zoning board. And it says right here that variances from developmental standard. If there is an extra criterion or two for developmental standards, it is all right. Indiana code says that for developmental standards variances, that your local ordinance may establish a stricter standard than the practical difficulties standard prescribed by state law. So they may give you a minimum. You guys are allowed to have more. So you do not have to go to the state minimum. So that just keep that in mind. Now I'm going to give you a personal example of a zoning ordinance. My wife and I had a time in our life that a zoning variance would help us. We had bought a property, wanted to build a house on it. And first, before the house would be ready or we get our construction crew there, we decided that we wanted to put up a shed. Now the shed wasn't allowed to be put up because it says first you got to have your residence there. So I went to the zoning board, which was the Decatur zoning board, and they said, that's fine, Charlie, go out and contact your 15 neighbors, which I did. Took them an affidavit of what I was going to do and told them all of our plans. Nobody had any problems with it whatsoever. But they knew I was also going to build a house there and that everything would be in order in about another 6 months. We just were out of sequence a little bit. And if I didn't get that variance, I wait. You know, I can deal with it. I just thought it would be nice to get that done. All of the neighbors understood the variance requirements, no problem, and that was that. So, but here's what I didn't do. We would have complied with their rulings, and I wouldn't have come back and demand that the laws be changed just for us. This is exactly what needs to go on here with this school. The current law and its setback requirements are good the way they are now. These distances allow for proper spacing for residents, schools, etc., to be away from the smells, sounds, and operations of an intensive animal operation. If this school finds out it's okay to put their building with less parameters than current laws, and all is good with their neighbors, make them go out and talk to the neighbors. Hey, we don't care, we don't care, we don't care. If they all get a yay, grant them a variance. That's what this law is for. And for us to come in here, you know, and I made this comment before, laws like this should take a long time to pass, a long time to change. We helped get an elected school board here at North Adams Schools, took 40 years. And there was a sign ordinance that our business was involved with, and several of us around we got involved with committees, and it took 5 to 6 years to get a law changed. And that's the way that it is, because we wanted to be sure that everything was done correctly. We rush into this, and all of a sudden you've got somebody down in another county road that says, but I don't want a hog operation or a intensive industry, whatever, you know, we're talking about the setbacks for hog or for a animal operation. If they don't want that, a lot of people won't come to a meeting like this. They won't speak this well. They won't do what we do. So I'm not here, I have nothing in this other than being a citizen of the county and the respect for what you guys do and the respect that we live in a country where we can speak about this. So anyway, things like this, if they need change, they need to be heavily studied, not to please a single applicant. An example I was involved with locally in the city was the signed ordinance, which I said, we felt it was out of date, and it restricted signs to the point if you couldn't even have what they looked like back in the 50s. There were signs hanging all over the street down there. Well, somewhere along the way, somebody came along and changed the ordinance, and I think it was an ordinance they got from another city, and made it so you could put a flat sign on your building, no, it was sticking out no more than 6 inches, and that was it. Well, when you have a sign that's on flat on your building, you can't see it coming down the road. So we thought that was dumb. So we got together with people with photos and years of evidence. I was on 2 different committees. My wife was on a committee. There were several of us doing this. We worked with the city attorney, and we worked on this for 5 to 6 years before we had a workable law that benefited everyone. The current laws now benefit all of us. You now can go to City Hall, fill out your thing, pay them $80 or $100 or whatever it is. They come and look at it. You put it up. You have to have a professional do it. Can't be done by some Jake guy on a ladder and a couple of lag screws. You can't do that, right? So anyway, what my point of that is that we cannot change laws on a whim. To me, somebody asking for the law to be changed, we haven't given it due process. The law needs to be the law, and if they don't like that, and it's okay with the rest of their neighbors, grant them a variance. That's what that's for.
Can I interrupt you a minute?
Sure, Steve.
I don't know, I sat on that zoning board committee, and I see Mark walked in. I don't know if we were threatened or if anybody even asked. I think it was brought up to our attention that we were extreme, and that's why we looked at it to change it. So I just wanted to correct you there.
That's fine. My sources are my sources.
Okay.
And I have nothing official to say about that, but I just know of people that have been there.
You keep wanting to refer that somebody is wanting us to change it. I think we as a county were just looking at it to change it because it was extreme. Am I right or wrong about that, Mark?
Yeah, I mean, we've had some, not like a person, but individuals that brought it up that thought it was off the wall, a big distance, so I just brought it up.
Okay, I just wanted to.
I understand.
I wanted that to be on record,
I understand.
that.
But while you have somebody asking for something that way, we are asking as a group that has noticed this kind of thing come about to leave it alone. And that's, once again, and and I don't know what the statute of limitations is for a planning commission decision or whatever that is, but I understand that they've been through this, and, the rules exist. We should be able to go and look for the rules for a sign and put up a sign. Put it into the thing and do
In order
that.
to be clear,
I'm sorry?
in order to be clear.
Okay?
Are you speaking for yourself or are you speaking for a group?
Speaking for the county, as citizens.
Because when you talk about a group, it sounds like a specific group of people.
Oh, you mean a specific group of people that want this changed?
You just said that we as a group. So it sounded like you had formed a group.
No, we as a people then. Wrong word.
Okay.
We as a people.
I'm gonna ask you to kind of wrap it up. and
Yep,
see
I'm
if we
almost
got-
done.
If we got other people that want to speak,
Yep.
to give them the opportunity.
Yep,
also.
no, I'm pretty well done. I guess what I don't like about this is if there is a group of people that want this changed or a school that wants this changed, if they didn't get their way at a zoning planning or zoning board meeting, that the only thing that they got to do is like, well, we'll just go get the law changed. Well, that would be mass chaos, and I ask that we don't do that. And anyway, and if we're gonna review a law and do this, I don't think that a week or two or whatever's gone by is enough time to do that. Anyway, I think you get my point. See if there's,
I think you've had the opportunity to get information from other individuals than I personally have.
Mm-hmm.
What I have been addressing this as is from a recommendation from our director of our plan commission.
Right, I understand.
Zoning board.
yeah.
So
Well, 1,300 is much better than
So,
800.
Yeah, like I agree with Steve, from when you talk about threats of lawsuits and stuff, that's the first I've really heard of that, so.
Yeah, well, it's, my sources, once again, aren't official, but I know people in various areas of the county, and they tell me things.
But when, it's kind of a little bit lopsided when you say, when you quote anonymous sources or refer to anonymous sources in a public meeting, that's how it gets reported in the press. And so that's an interesting way to kind of skew opinion.
Well, and I have no bad intent at all.
No, I
If that-
know
If
that.
that does that, and I understand your
But I
point
mean,
there,
if
but I have to
wanted
protect my source just like a newspaper
Yeah.
would. That's my
If I
source.
wanted to quote anonymous sources, it would be a bit unfair, I think. But, I appreciate your time, and I do want to recognize other people that want to speak
Certainly.
too, so.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yep, you
All
bet.
right. Okay. Yeah, just state your name.
Sure. I'm Mike Webb, 246 South 2nd Street here in Decatur, so a resident of the county. I recognize, that there can be reasons for variances to these ordinances. So I just want to voice my support. That's part of the reason I'm here this morning for Charlie's position there, that you do a tough job. And when you put the laws together, you're putting them together with reasons. And just that in the minority cases where there's a compelling argument, that's what the variance procedure exists for. In the case where it is something that's an overriding issue, just that you take the time to look at it very carefully before making any changes. I've been on your side on your side of the table with a number of different organizations, just taking that time. And I appreciate you hearing us out and hearing our positions out. But again, from my standpoint, it's, compelling individual cases are reason for compelling, individual variances that are allowed, as opposed to creating opportunities for larger scale changes just in the case of a tiny individual situation. So I'll be brief, and that's it. So,
Very good.
Thank you.
I do appreciate the involvement. I mean, that's good to hear from people, and it's good to hear opinions. And hopefully that that just because it wasn't something that came out in a public meeting or something that was reported from a public meeting, it doesn't mean that it hasn't been researched or thought about or discussed on our part with the plan commission or with our attorney. So, hopefully that it's not a spur of the moment.
I never make that assumption,
change,
but at the
yeah.
same time, I also don't want to make the assumption that, this side's been heard either.
Sure.
Because it can be very easy to miss that, but again, we're from where you are, it can be easy to miss that. And
Sure.
yes, there's a lot of other things that have been going on in the community recently, so I think you see a lot more engagement that grows out of that, and I think that's a healthy thing.
Yeah.
I think both sides want to have that discourse. So thank you for listening,
Yeah.
and we appreciate you.
Thanks for coming in.
Mhm.
So, all right. Anyone else that would like to speak to this issue? Gene?
I'm Jean Porter Brune. Jean Porter Brune. I live at 1717 Winchester Road, Decatur, Indiana. And I just wanted to clarify a couple of things. What is in the county code right now is that the setback of 3,000 feet is not only for schools, but it's also for any public building, churches, parks, residence groups of 5 or more houses. So we're not just talking about schools, we are talking about these other entities. That's what's in our ordinance as it stands. So I think the 3,000 feet is very reasonable, and there does obviously need to be further discussion on this before anyone would think this would need to become law, because when you're talking about parks and churches and groups of 5 or more houses, you're talking about a lot of people being impacted, and not necessarily in certain cases just an Amish school. So also there's a misperception too that meat processing does not fall under the category of intensive livestock operation. Indeed, it does in Indiana, because if you look at the Indiana suggestions for codes, it does have a grid that includes livestock, meat processing within the livestock ordinance. So anything that we do decide would also apply to slaughterhouses, okay, in the county. So, and another thing that I want to bring up is the IO company that wanted to have a slaughterhouse within Decatur city limits. Have they contacted anyone in the county, either county commissioners or county council? Do you know?
They not contacted me.
No, I haven't been contacted.
Yeah.
Attorney Burry?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Tony?
Nope.
No? Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
One of the things that these ordinances do, obviously, is protect quality of life with the setbacks when we consider schools, public buildings, and residents. Another thing that we do is to try and look at ordinances that are not intrusive to the agricultural industry. As you talked about our county comprehensive plan, that gives a high priority to the agricultural aspect of Adams County and the agricultural industries. So, there's definitely a consideration there. There's a quality of life consideration. There's infrastructure consideration. There's agricultural and economic development consideration. So what we attempt to do is to create a good balance that creates a good working relationship between the agricultural industries and the zoning thereof, and also the residences. So one of the things that we've seen, obviously, is a growth in the population and a growth in rural housing and building and schools. So, as we look at this, it becomes more and more of a balance, and sometimes more of a challenge for everybody to live together. So, but like I said, just because this is the first discussion where we have had public comment on this, doesn't mean it's the first discussion where it's been considered. It's been considered between both boards, the commissioners and the plan commission. So hopefully you'll appreciate that too. So anybody else that would like to speak to the issue?
Can I ask one more thing? Just a simple question. 3,000 to 1,320 to 800. Is there a number that's even higher than 1320? Could it be 3,000 and you go to 2,000? I mean, you get out there in the country and you start looking down the road, quarter of a mile comes up pretty fast.
If we were to do that, we'd have to get an auctioneer and we could bid back and forth maybe.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, who'll give me 2,000? But, actually, part of the thing that we're looking at is consistency. And that's why, as we look at the original ordinance, and like Mark said, I'm not sure how that 3,000 was decided on. It could have been very well researched, or it could have been a number that was overlooked and just moved forward. I don't know. But with consistency, as we looked at the 800, we felt like that was too close. As we looked at the state minimum being 1,000 feet, even that was a little bit less restrictive than what we've seen with other intensive livestock operations. So when we looked at the 1320, that was a quarter mile. That's consistent with other intensive livestock operation setbacks. And so, that's one of the numbers that we're looking at. Whereas, when we looked at the 3,000, our first impression was, and along with the recommendation from our Board of Zoning Director, that was made it obtrusive for the co-location of intensive livestock operation plus schools. So that's why we're looking at a change. One of the reasons we're looking at a change here. So there's that's kind of a little bit of an insight into our reasoning. I don't want to speak for you guys.
Well, Stan, my feeling is, we did a lot of research when we had the solar project coming up, when we decided to look at those setbacks. What I would like to do, this is the first time that we've had some input from the public. We have gotten some emails and so on. I'd like to just take another week before I'm ready to make a decision.
Yeah, I recommend I think you need to take it under advisement, and it's good information.
Yeah.
Good discussion. As far as variances go, as a general rule, you shouldn't have a law on the books you shouldn't pass a zoning law or zoning regulation that immediately puts more than 50% of the uses out there in nonconformance. It doesn't make any sense. A good example I can give is up at LaGrange County around the lakes. A few years ago, they went in and zoning board, they passed a zoning classification for L1, lake zone. Okay, not residential, not R1, not R2, L1. And they decided that the setback from the center of the road should be 45 feet. That immediately put about 70% of the cottages in the county in nonconformance. Makes no sense. Now anybody that if a house burns down and you want to build back, you got to go in on your hands and knees and ask for a variance from a law that doesn't make any sense. And so that's why when we look at something and we talk about variances, Charlie, you're right. Variances are meant to be a way for a property owner to come in and ask for a variance from either a minimum or maximum, because their circumstances are unique and they can't reasonably use their property for what they would like to use it for without a variance, and they've got to have some reason. If somebody's got 10 acres and they come in and they want to change the setback from 100 feet from the county road, or I think it's at least 100, maybe 120. And they say, I want to build my house 50 feet from the road. Well, it doesn't make any sense. You got 10 acres. Set it back. Now, on the other hand, if somebody's got an old farmhouse on half an acre and they don't have the room, that's a different scenario. That's a scenario under which the board should look at a variance, perhaps. So anyway, when you think about variances are important and they are used, but it also presumes that the law that you're seeking the variance from, the law itself, has some rational basis. And so that's why we're looking at this, and that's how it came to the commissioners, was in the context of, hey, this doesn't really make any sense, because most of the schools that are out there, and absolutely, we're talking about Amish schools, are much closer than 3,000 feet. And so they're in a situation where they won't be able to build any more schools if it's a 3,000-foot rule. And so then that's why we have to look at it and say, well, does that make sense? Is that rational? Is there some rational basis for public health, safety, and welfare why one of these schools has to be 3,000 feet from a CFO when a residence is only 1,320? And so that's why the commissioners are looking at it, and you all have some very good points. But that's why they're looking at it. And the Plan Commission themselves, when they certified back their decision, said that they have support for an amendment changing the minimum setback to 1,320 from any public building, school, or church to a county intensive livestock operation. So your own Plan Commission has recommended 1,320. Now, that being said, that's not to say that the commissioners, you could say it should be something else. You might even say that that doesn't apply maybe to a church. Maybe it should be farther from a church, unless maybe the church itself says, no, that's okay, unless they would consent to it. So that you have some ability to make some changes to this to make it work better for everybody. And so I think that's a good reason. There's no reason for a decision today. I think it was good to have the discussion, and that's why we do this, so.
Okay, Mark, would you like to come up and speak to that? You don't have to have a shirt and tie to come up.
Okay, good. I don't own one. Just to kind of even talk about how some of this works and why it is in place, and the reason why it's come up the way it has is the setback is in the intensive livestock ordinance. So if somebody wanted to build a livestock and there is a school, let's go the opposite direction, they got to stay 3,000 feet away, which that hasn't been an issue with this ordinance, and keeping it away from built-up areas and churches and such. But when we make that rule, then it becomes reciprocal. So then when somebody wants to build that school, it now is that same 3,000. That's where it's gotten some questioning on that. So I don't know, however this discussion ends up and however long it takes, I don't know, but it could be something where the 3,000 of keeping the intensive away from these things makes sense, but maybe it isn't reciprocal. Maybe you lessen the opposite side of that when it's
By the applicant.
Yes, when the intent comes in, it stays 3,000, and yes, they can still ask for a variance too, but that's where they're set at. But if it's the opposite end, somebody wants to build one of those items we have listed, school, church, whatnot, and they know where the intensive is, and they would like to be less than that, and everybody that is involved says, we're okay, we understand it's there, and we're okay with that, then, whether we just use the variance process to make that happen, or you actually have, I'm just blowing out numbers, don't write this down, but it's 3,000 for the one end, but the 1,320 for the other side, But that's where it gets weird.
No, that's a good point. You're exactly right, because it's a different matter on the side where the school or the church is already established, and now you've got an intensive wants to construct. And so, okay, that's a different matter.
And can it be written that way?
Mhm.
Okay.
I think so.
There's some Lutheran schools, there's
Right.
there's all kinds of stuff that are out in the middle of nowhere, and keeping that intensive away from that is not necessarily the problem or the issue.
It's the other way.
It's the other direction. And so that's just, maybe that's a way out of it, I don't know, or we just use
No, I think
variance
that
process and
I think that makes sense.
kind of make something that, I don't know, makes more sense.
Well, that protects the existing churches and schools and.
Right, because if you
That's-
lessen it,
that's fine.
just period, then it's still reciprocal, and now you've lessened it
Right.
for that intensive that wants to build maybe too close to something. So that's the rub.
Yep.
Keep one at bay and let one be okay, and I don't know how that works.
But now it is 1,320 though, for residential, so if CFO can come within 1320 residential all day long.
And 800 if it's IDEM operation that is
Oh, if it's,
regulated.
okay, if it's an IDEM,
If it's IDEM regulated, it's 800 feet.
okay,
If it's county, which can't regulate, it's 1320.
okay, that makes sense. 800 is not very far.
It used to be 600. For all this. So,
Well, let's take a little bit of time here, and I think we've got a good discussion today, and I think that we've got some good ideas from Mark Wynn and also from Mark Burry, and so, do we want to take and readdress this issue in a week, or do we need more time to kind of consider some?
I would say a couple of weeks, but we'll make sure you get it back on the agenda, that way everybody knows when they're gonna discuss, when you're gonna discuss it.
How about if we put it on the agenda for 2 weeks from now?
Okay.
And I don't know what that date will be.
April 11th or something?
Today is the.
Yeah, 12. Yeah, 12.
You wanna do it on a council meeting day, or do you wanna do it on a different day?
We can do it on a council meeting, other than that.
It just means you would start later.
Council meeting is the 12th, right?
We can do it the week after.
Yes.
That's the 19th, that'd be April 19th.
We can do it April 19th. We have
Okay.
90 days to get this
So you got
done.
90 days.
Yeah, let's put it on the agenda for April 19th, and by then, we'll have a discussion and potential rewriting of our response, and take a look at it at that time, so. And then at that time, we would have our regular start time of 10 o'clock in the morning, so. So, that sounds okay. All right, well, I appreciate everyone's input. Mark, did you have anything else for us?
No,
Okay,
Shannon does.
Just one more thing. I just got notice that we have a jailer who resigned, so just official permission to repost and refill that job.
okay,
So moved.
okay, motion carries. All right. Anything else from the public? Ed?
I do. Very little though. We have, we're still on track for our April 8th mailing of tax statements. Everything's still on track for there. We did have a little bit of a hiccup that I want to let you know on our splits. We have about 150 splits that we do every year in the county. And we were waiting on the auditor's office, who was waiting on the assessor's office. And for various reasons, that did not get through the pipeline. We have about half of those done. The other half will get mailed to the deeded owner, and then we'll have to work on that after the fact rather than before the fact, to let you know that whole trail, how all that works. Won't be an issue, but we won't be quite as prepared as we have been in previous years. Just time-wise, we ran out of time, mostly because of one office. But we're on track. Also, I had a meeting last week, a Zoom meeting with Ethan Snyder and Civic Plus, who is our website provider, about the upgrades. It's gonna take all summer. It's gonna be November before we will actually see anything. What I am tagged to do at this point is to update our current website, get everything as up to date as we can with all the new buttons, all the new pictures, all the new everything. And then once it's all set, then they will put the new template on it and make it look pretty, okay? I thought it was gonna be the other way around, where we have the new template and then we just update that. That was informed it's the other way. So that's good. We had Steve, we had a talk at the IT meeting, and the one thing I was concerned about is they were talking about upcharges and all this and that. We've decided we're not gonna do anything that way. We're gonna see how nice we can make the current updated website look before we even think about doing any upcharges. Because if we do too much of that, we might as well go with one of the groups I talked about last year. Okay, and then the last thing we talked about also at the technical committee is Xsoft and how we handle when people look up on the website to look up their tax bills. With MVP, which is no longer in use, they had all of that data on their website. Xsoft does not, but when we vetted Xsoft against Lao last year, they told us that they would not have that we needed to use Data Pit Stop, which is a program we've used and we've used for several years now. And everybody was okay with it, everybody, including technical committee. And now we're getting a little bit of feedback from Mike Brown that he's not quite sure about Data Pit Stop as far as security issues. But it's information that's been open to the public. Mike was going to talk with you, Mark, and see about the security issues part of it. But as far as the technical committee, we were all good with it Thursday, including Mike. I don't see an issue. It's the smoothest way to do it. It'll make quick and easy, efficient, which is, I'm all about that. But I would like to talk about that, and we could do it now or we could do it after hours, if you like.
We're gonna have a meeting, after hours, or we're gonna meet during, commissioner hours today, so.
Well, the only thing, I can't put this off of the fact that.
What are you asking for today?
I just want to allow Data Pit Stop to be the database of record that we can use along with our Xsoft tax software to allow that everyday updates on tax information.
And this is, Mike is okay with that at this
Yes, he
point?
was Thursday when we all talked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he wanted to talk with Mark about it, but.
Okay. Data Pit Stop also provides our office with years of reports that we need to refer back to for taxpayers that come in.
Did he talk to you about that, Mark?
I have not talked to Mike about it yet, no.
So, I mean, it's a necessary function that we've had since 2018, I believe.
And we've used Data Pit Stop for years, and they're used all over the state for the very same reasons. So I need that. I need that, or else a lot of this stuff we've done with Xsoft is for nil.
Okay. Well, if Mike and Mark are okay with it, then.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah. So, okay,
I'm okay with it.
all right.
Sounds like we're good with it.
That's why.
Could you put that on record?
I'll make a motion to go ahead and approve that.
Okay,
Thank you.
motion carries. Thank you, Ed, for your work.
That's why I've been able to get my tank on property information.
So, Sheriff?
Told you I was gonna probably say something you've never heard before.
Yeah, I'm still scared.
I come to you and the council for money all the time, right? Have you ever had a sheriff give you money? No? Well, today it is.
All right.
And this is for the news media too. People check Indiana Unclaimed. I found $1,750 to the Adams County Sheriff's Office from a company. How they didn't find the sheriff was, I don't know, but it was deposited into your budget yesterday. So, just so you know, I'm giving you money. Now, I'm probably gonna ask for it back sometime, so just so you know.
I know you will.
But no, for the media, seriously, check that website out, Indiana Unclaimed. It's very simple to use, and I received this money about 2 weeks after I filled out the paper.
What's the money for?
It was from an old company that did business with the commissioner or something, and it was a refund or something, but they didn't send it to us, or they didn't find us, I don't know, but it was sent to the Attorney General's office, and it was there. So, just so you know, the staff is looking to save money, but like I said, I'm probably gonna ask for it, so.
Hey, Dan, was there a date on that, what year it happened?
No, it doesn't give you all that information. Nope. It's very simple. It just says the name of who deposited there and who has to. You fill out a little online claim. They send you a notarized copy that has to be notarized. You fill that out, send it in, and I had a check in 2 weeks.
Wow.
So, that's what I told you I was gonna surprise you today.
Eric might have some money there, who knows?
Yeah.
Pardon?
Is there any more of that around?
Not to the sheriff's office, no, but you run your name, you might have some.
Tony, do we have a pizza line item?
I've heard of that.
I can create one,
All right.
but there's only one company that.
Well, very good.
I got one more thing I forgot. We have, we've got the plan documents for your health plan. So you've got 3 different networks. You've got Lutheran Preferred, you have Parkview Signature Care, and then also Three Rivers Preferred PPO. And I just need you to sign the plan endorsement books, so I'll print those for you. They're already in effect. You just need to sign those plan endorsements. So Tony, I'm going to email that to you. You can have it printed and we'll have them sign it.
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion carries. Okay, anything else from the general public? Nate, anything? No? Okay,
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
all right, motion carries. Meeting adjourned.